Hey guys, so now what I'm looking to do in this video is actually a bit of a case study. So I'm going to talk about a flat that me and my family have bought 12 years ago. It's a one bedroom flat and it will just kind of show you what it's like to buy a cheap flat and hold it for 12 years. What are the advantages? What are the expenses? How does it all work? So it's quite an interesting one for me to analyze because I've not analyzed it properly myself. So I'm going to do it on the spreadsheet. I'm going to show you the flat, go through the key numbers, and then try to come up with a couple of conclusion points, whether it's worth it or not. Let me show you some pictures. So this flat is located in the east side of Glasgow, which is the area that I like the most, I would say. It was bought in 2013, so 12 years ago. Here's an advert of when it was being put out for rent. So that's after it was bought and when it was being rented. It looks a bit different now, but this is the living room. Nice window going onto there's like a nice church outside, etc. It was quite a rough area. Right now it's a bit better. Decent sized bedroom. It's a bedroom there. Huge kitchen. Definitely potential to convert that into the kitchen dining area and then have the living room as a bedroom, so there is potential to move it from one bedroom to two bedrooms in the future. It is the kitchen again. It's got gas central heating, decent windows, relatively simple bathroom. You can't see it properly. I mean, the pictures are not great in there. You can't even see the toilet or anything like that, but that just gives you an idea of the flat that it is. We then go back here. This is the outside, relatively busy street. It was a bit rough, now it's better. Not next to a lot of the shopping centres. A lot of the shops on the first floor and then residential on the top three floors, and my one is on the second floor. So in terms of the size of it, it's actually 58 square meters, so relatively spacious for a one bedroom. As I said, definitely potential to convert it into two. The EPC rating is C, so relatively efficient. It's got a decent boiler and decent windows, etc. It's one bedroom. I've had a look through the home report. There's not much else to report on it. You know, it's in a decent state of repair. If anything needs done, it gets done. So that's essentially all the details that you need to know about the flat. Let's put some other details in here. So we have the purchase price back in 2013 of, I can't remember exactly, but it was around 30,000. So let's just say 30,000. Because of that, we were lucky we didn't have to pay any additional taxes or anything like that. It was just the purchase price. There was the legal expense when we bought it of, I can't remember, maybe £1,200. There was an agency fee of £1,500. Funnily enough, I still deal with the agency now, 12 years later, still some of the same people, which is absolutely fantastic. But those are probably the key purchase expenses. There has been a bit of a refurb that we did at the start, but we did most of it ourselves and it was relatively small. So let's again put that here, refurb, I would say 3,500. Nothing too major, it was just painting. It might have been even less than that, but let's just assume that's the amount for this at this stage. So let's have a look at the return. So in terms of the expenses, let's copy and paste those ones here. Those are the expenses that was upfront. Afterwards, there were occasional repairs that had to be done. Obviously, it's been quite a long time and it's very hard to estimate exactly what they were, but the ones that I can remember for sure are the boiler. Probably spent maybe 1,500 on the boiler. So in terms of maintenance, you have the boiler at £1,500 because it broke quite a few times. It needed things done, needed radiators bled, it needed components replaced, motherboard replaced, bits and pieces like that. And then I would say other, I would put it at about 500 per year. So considering it's been 12 years, I would say, what is it, 500 times 10, so £6,000, but over 12 years. You know what, actually, if I'm being completely honest, I would say like 4.5. I don't think it was even as much as £6,000. Those are the obvious ones. Obviously, to get it ready, yeah, to get it ready for the renting, we had to do all the checks, so that's something we need to take into account. There's gas, electrical, there's Legionella checks that have to be done very regular. There's the agency fee that I pay just for them to manage that property for me. And that's probably the key things there. So if we take this into account, let's look at capital appreciation. So we have purchased the flat for £30,000, and current value of the flat, I would say, is probably 70,000, maybe 65. I would say 70,000 because with the area and stuff, I think 70 is reasonable. So £70,000 minus £30,000, and then minus those initial expenses here. So it more than doubled in price, and it went up by £33,800, which is pretty good. It just means that we essentially got, yeah, double the amount of equity in it now. So that's fantastic. It's really good. Looking at the rental income, again, I'll do it over 12 years, but it might not make complete sense, so I might have to split it afterwards. But the average rent was about £310 a month, I would say. And that would be for 12 months for 12 years. I would say that there were some void periods, but those void periods were extremely little. So if I looked at the whole of the 12 years, there may have been a void period at the start when we were refurbing. If I don't count that, it may have been 2 months in total over the 12 years. So the occupancy has been almost 100%. So with that in mind, in 12 years we got £44,640 in rent, which is more than the purchase price. So we pretty much got all of our money back in rent. From this, so this would be rent gross, rent net. So before taxes, ignoring taxes for now, just to understand the money that comes in. Rent after expenses. So this was the amount. You need to times that by 90% to take the 10% agency fee into account. You need to take away the fees that were done. So the boiler, for example, you need to take away every year there was a gas check, maybe £70. So again, let's put £70 times 12 years. There would have been also EPC, electrical checks, and PAT testing. So for that one, I would say electrical checks is once every 5 years. So there was 2 of them, probably £150 each. So that's £300 for electrical test. PAT testing, about £100 every 2 years, I would say. So that's £600 PAT testing. Another thing that's very important actually is factoring. So this close is factored. So they've got cleaning, they've got quite a lot going on. And I would say that factoring every year it has increased, but on average, I would say it's about 150 per quarter, which is 600 a year. So again, minus 600 times 12. So after all the expenses, the money that we actually got in, and obviously had to pay tax on in the years where it was applicable, was 29,736. So what we've got here again, purchase price of £30,000. Let's copy it here. £30,000. Got capital appreciation of 33,800. And we've got rent after expenses here at just under 30,000. So we want to just put in the values. So with that investment, we have fully gotten it back after 12 years, which already gives a good return. And now that it's fully paid off and paid for itself essentially, even after all the expenses, looking at the capital appreciation, it doubled in price. So if we were to sell it now, we would get our money back again, plus the same amount. So selling it now would lead to 33,800 of capital appreciation. I'm not sure exactly what the tax on that is, but it's maybe, well, it's currently in the company, so it would be 19%. Even in the personal name, I think it's like 28%. So just take around 20% tax. Still left with 27k, maybe minus the seller fee and another grand. So potentially could make 26k on that. So yeah, that just shows you if you buy a relatively cheap flat and it's in an area that's growing and it's reasonable, although I might not look at it with the graffiti and stuff, but it's actually a reasonable area, not too far away from the center, good commute, and you hold it for a really long time, this is a potential for what can happen. One thing to note is that obviously if you buy a flat like this, it doubles in value over 10 years. You get all your money back as rent. You then think, why wouldn't I buy a £1 million house right now? I could have 2 million, I could have all that rent, I could have this. But you just need to be realistic. I mean, back then when this was bought, that was a lot of money. That was a big stretch for us. So there was no way we could afford anything more. And I'm just grateful for how things have worked out. My current plan with this is actually just to continue renting it out. The rent is way below the market rates, so we are helping out a lot. The tenants have been very reliable and very nice. It's not causing us too much headache, so it's giving us a bit of cash flow and it's helping us out. So for now, we're going to keep it. In the future, we might consider selling it, but we'll see. So hopefully in this video, we gave you a good case study, a real property that was bought, held for 12 years, and where it is right now. Hopefully it gives you an idea and you can maybe use some of those numbers and some of those calculations for some of your properties. Thank you for your time.